Okay, guys. Hello. New topic. New lifestyle topic. Confidence. 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 Um. Yeah. So let's talk about confidence. I always wanted to know how confident you are as a person. And that means like a lot. I always like drive back to like the regular repetitions of what is true. So your walk of life, the walk of life that you've carried, and which you're able to contribute uh, when you speak to someone, or first impression, or you observe about a person. Confidence is key. Um, Confidence has always been an interesting thing, especially for those who are truly confident. Um, Confidence can have many different forms. Not forums, but forums also pops in my head, which I think is actually really prevalent. Forums can actually have a lot of structure to it that makes confidence even more integral, and it takes on an actual structure idea that um, when you have people go through the same stuff that you go through, then it becomes kind of equitable to talk about the things that you guys can relate to in common knowledge, and then that confidence grows into something more. But I kind of address that like in my little piece here, in my big piece, whatever you want to call it. Um, so when you meet someone just as confident as you, question sometimes would be, do you budge? Um, or do you let the other person shine as much as you? Or do you have any fears in the confidence, or do you distill the fears with your confidence? I think those questions, there's like some serious questions when it comes to confidence, because I think confidence means a lot when you're either by yourself, um, or when you're with other people. Um, I think those are two very drastically different kind of scenarios, but I think you gotta have to be confident in both areas, both avenues, because that is highly suggestive of who you are. When you're confident about yourself, by yourself, that makes you understand, like, that whatever life throws at you, you go through it no matter what. Mm, that's a lot, because you gotta you gotta have to be able to be like in the in the unlimited time that one person may have. Being by yourself in confidence is key, because of the fact that maybe on the surface level you may know that people are there's a lot of other people out there that do have greatness, or whatever you think is confidence yourself. And so it's like, what are you doing to improve? Or are you are you taking your time to take advantage of the time? Or are you relaxing? Are you not weary about anything? Um, do you have what it takes to just to present yourself that makes confidence a truth, and not something that's a little bit almost to the point where it's cocky or fake? But I think everyone deals with that one too. Um, so to move on, confidence doesn't necessarily need a backbone, but when confidence is backed with a whole lot of determination, character, and furthermore, then confidence and understanding your role as a human being almost becomes a projection of who you are. Um, I kind of mean with the same thing what I just said right now, is that confidence, you gotta be able to have confidence by yourself, but when you don't, when you're just, when you're with other people, when you're communicating with your teams, with your friends, with people that are groups that you want to talk to, and things of that nature. Yeah, the confidence of not having any backing, as opposed to confidence with having a lot of knowing that you're walking into a given situation where you have a lot of knowledge or experience. So it's like that original one where it's like you're walking in a job interview, or you're walking into you're about to play a sport, but you know you practice so much more than the other people, so you prepare your mind to go, okay, this is gonna be easy. Um, or in a job interview, you know you studied everything about the company, and you studied everything about what it means to succeed, and so you built your own reputation, a la your resume, or you built your own technicalities and skills. Um, yeah, so that's the same example, but it's more so like obviously it goes way deeper than that. And so it's like in life, confidence is uh, can you make the difficult decisions? Can you be a person that is not worried about anybody? This is what I think confidence is, especially for me, is like if there was your favorite celebrities that walk into the room, would you be starstruck? And it's not a knock against somebody that be starstruck, but it's like, well, what if you are the person that all of a sudden um, has boosted in confidence because your understanding of like you have a really good life yourself, not so much that you're that interviewer who thinks he knows everything about the celebrity, so now the celebrity becomes overarching over the interview becomes overarching over the celebrity. It's not like that either because um, I would feel like that's forming bonds of closeness as opposed to trying to knock somebody. But I mean, I guess that's what happens in an interview. You kind of try to find what makes somebody move or tick or develop why they developed into the person they are or why they develop those thoughts and ideas. But I think you gotta have to have an open mind when you, especially when you were to be able to meet these kind of like, if I were to process the same projection that I was going with, you got to be able to present your own point. You know what I mean. Like you got to have your own saying because, like, of course, all these people, but you can't just be a fondle. You can't just be a direct mindset of like, oh, yeah, like that's it. You know what I mean? Like I would hope that in the confidence that you have, all of a sudden you could speak about your own feelings and transgressions and inconsistency and consistencies. Um, that one. Okay, so let me stop there. So having that ability to say that, look, man, if it was like back in my last video where it was like, you have a lot of you had a lot of confidence and there was a lot of like grandeur to the person that you're meeting, and all of a sudden you like feel good about yourself. I think that is confidence. I guess I'm just IDing confidence right now for my own sake and for other people's sake if they ever watch this video. But um, yeah, I think confidence really key. So I would want it out there too. Uh, but I like to see how confident people are without all the things that make human regularly confident, cocky, and or I'll be a positive. That could be looks, that could be how much people you know or someone's reputation, that could be money, that could be one's profession, that could be how many skills or talents you have, like I said. That could be one's upbringing or knowing that they deserve more, kind of like entitlement. So I just listed a few points that are like what I feel like are confidence, what makes somebody go in confidence. Because like say if you're the best looking person, but there's a lot of best looking people out there. So it's like you gotta have something else, right? That actually makes you confident in yourself. So it's like, well, okay, what if you had all of those? What if you were a good person that has a really good reputation, that has a lot of money, that could have a really good profession, that has many skills and talents. Like I wonder if you ask that person like if they're truly confident in themselves. I think they would say like, no, the fuel is that there's more to be had and there's always constant improvement. But I think even for those people, you, I think you develop something where you understand that there are certain things that you can improve on, so you don't try to take all on all at once. You continually get better as a person, and then those things grow, and then all of a sudden you do look good because you are confident, not because you look good because you look good, but it's more so that's my different piece. My piece is like, you know, like I feel living in California, you get to see a lot of good looking people, but it's more so the point that I'm making is like, man, it I sound lame, but it isn't here. It's like what's inside, because the confidence does derive from inside. I've seen a lot of good looking people, and they might not be models, but I know that they're really good looking people based off um, all the other little things that matter in life. It's just how you present yourself almost. But I like talking about this because it's something that like it could rattle cages in a nice way, not in a bad way. Because I think we're all in cages as far as what our self esteem is. Because I know I've had ultimate self esteem, but it's like it's all about improving that as well, regardless of how you walk or know yourself. Um, so shoot, man. Looking back at myself, I know I was confident in who I was becoming. Like, yeah, so but I can definitely tell I was not as confident as I am now. Um, Nowhere near. And that's true. That's very true. Um, like I even had a these videos. Hopefully these videos mean much. And when people say take things with a grain of salt, I wish this is like a few lumps of salt. Because while I do think these videos don't really mean much to me as far as like what it is, because yeah, there are a lot of opinions out there, but it does mean a lot because I truly mean what I'm saying with these words. But like, I would never want, I would never want work to define somebody, even though it means it's almost like a magnifying glass as to who you are as an individual. So I'm gonna go back to sports, but I think there's a reason why a Michael Jordan turned out to be the best player. It's because of his character, because of all the things that he believed in, because work can only get you so far. Work ethic can only get you so far. But then work ethic plus determination can only get you so far. But then work ethic plus determination plus confidence can get you only so far. And then it's like, when you have it all, um, there's different layers of confidence that like makes it difficult for anybody. But I think once you reach a certain threshold, like confidence is not even a thing for a lot of people. It's just building and applying who you are as a person. So I guess I'm baselining it, but kind of want to just speak about it anyways. Um, so it was nowhere near to what I used to be as far as my confidence. Like I grew up a lot, I think, but I think there was a lot of me understanding that, man, regardless of how confident I was back then, because I thought I was pretty confident back then. I think there's a different kind of confidence that makes a lot more sense. And it's just maybe it's the piece that I've grown into. Maybe it's all the experiences that I've had. Uh, Maybe it's the the conditions that I've met, because I've reached goals that I made, and some goals I haven't reached, but I've reached a lot of goals that I've made for myself, and then I reached a lot of goals that God had made for me. And so when it plays out in a non-secular way, and then you're dealing with something that's almost secular in the confidence sector. Okay, so I think confidence could be dangerous. I think it could be a little bit wild. I think it's harmonizing. I think it could be critical and alluring, considerate and single-minded, multi-dimensional or prestigious. There are emotions of top class as far as confidence goes, and then there are living in top class. I think that there's a fine line difference between living in top class and then having like maybe even like sparks, but just motions of top class. I think that's a genuine cause that I think people like find that daily battle struggle. Um, lividity, just something that's like far from what it is. But sometimes once you get closer to it, as far as like top class, it becomes more natural because of the fact that it's set up that way for people that, well, when I say top class, it's a certain level of fine line of understanding how things work, and then being able to communicate that, being able to live that out as you so appreciate it with your confidence. But it takes more than just what is known about your own perspective. I think that's where confidence really lies in a greater picture, because somebody that's confident is willing to make change too, and willing to find out what is new out there. And then sometimes when you're living in top class, you realize that it's a lot of setup of just, you know, things that you may have not even wanted to be a part of, or something that you consider to be highly genuine, but it doesn't resonate with you. Um, so I guess that's where it could go kind of awry. But I think living in top classes is even in another whole bigger picture. I think living in top class is almost like the the opposite of key of survival. It's making progress towards understanding that we've been in survival mode for a very long time, but we are more than just an animal. We are more than just beings. We're human beings, and so that is composed of something that I feel like, we've been created by something. Um, my personal perspective is, yeah, it's God, but some people consider that everything. Some people consider that just a creator. Some people consider that, I don't know, maybe an alien. But when you do consider top class in as far as living in it, um, I think, once you give somebody a little bit, just a little bit of what is like much higher than what they've originally uh, have lived out their entire life, I think it's in that confidence of a person that determines what kind of way you want to be about. Because I think you're going to have, yeah, it's going to be either emotions where you're going to have like bits and pieces that it seem like, oh, this person may have potential, or it doesn't have to necessarily be that way, because some people may just see motions of top class versus living in top class as far as how economically well off you are. But I still don't think that's what it is. I still think it's a living situation that, in your daily living, your weekly living, monthly living, yearly living, uh, and considered on even more so. It's just how you approach life, how you approach the fine line details, and then actually reconsider all the things that you felt you were confident in, but you know that you got to be even more confident. And so sometimes, that may be backing off sometimes. Maybe that is to forgive and to let go. But I think, it could be genuinely a good piece, because I could speak to you forward like this as much as I want, but naturally, there is no other person that I'm speaking to. It's not a one-on-one. It's a one-on uh, a few people, a whole bunch of people. But it's me. I'm actually trying to speak to what I feel like is the universal language in what is the truth. So you don't have to get so nitpicky in that situation. That's how I feel. But I think once you realize that there is a higher form of understanding and being able to key on what is truth, justice, wisdom, love, and all the fruits of what God has given us, I think that's where living in top class does make sense, because it's a light burden. It's not a sometimes a revolution is needed, but it's just a light burden sometimes that, once you're in living in top class, yeah, you may get some more problems that come about because problems are endless. But I think there's the service level almost becomes even greater because you know what's innately inside of you, of what you have produced from your confidence. And so even out in the surface, things become confident, I guess you would want to put it. So let me just leave it at that. But yet at the same time, confidence is knowing first class doesn't make you a better person. So no matter how much confidence you may have, like, I mean, one thing that I've always stuck in my back of my head is there is a bigger fish in the pond, in the lake, in the ocean. But I also think that, no matter how confident you are, what is truly inside is what matters. But that is why I'm speaking about this situation, because sometimes you will know when somebody is confident about themselves, just based off how things are going. And so, thus, you will be able to identify who has actually been through there, through just all the experiences that are highly needed at this point, especially what we're going through, but more so the fact that, like, I don't know, I would think if you're watching this, you will want to get better at life or live better or find something that makes sense, I guess, because I mean, I spoke a lot just to free kick it, like just to say things, but at the same time, you got to be able to produce words whenever we're talking like that. That doesn't make sense. Um, so to move on, confidence is starting over, and it's understanding that there are cycles in life that make a family go. So as far as like confidence happens, I think one thing that naturally people understand that I fully understand too, and I haven't even understood it fully, is that once you become a parent, your responsibility, your maturation, and your confidence, I think becomes not even higher, but it becomes renewed because you start to understand what true confidence is when you need to make sure that you're taking care of a family. So whether it means you're a parent, a brother, sister, an uncle, and aunt, like a grandfather, grandmother, like I think that's where confidence becomes. So I think like the natural setup of how human beings are naturally set up, like in, as far as like phases of life, I think that that is kind of important. I think the phases of life of going through your being a baby to toddler to a kid to a teenager um, to adult or to maybe like pre-adult to adult to a full grown adult to a parent to those kind of things, those natural steps I think should be exhibited amongst a parent. I think that always be amongst the people that that are in the cycle of life. But it's knowing that there are cycles in life and that you gotta continually get over the fact that um, you may have done a lot of these things that you felt like are great experiences, but um, let's use this example though. Like if you were being a parent, it's the whole idea that you gotta, you know, it's a new start because you're taking care of people. It's a new start because you gotta, you may never know what may hit you or what comes at you or what's thrown at you or what's asked of you, because of the fact that like when you do start anew, um, yeah, it's that confidence is almost like the only thing that's sticking out at some points. So I hope that your wish isn't to develop anything that benigns anything as far as confidence goes, because I can see people doing that as far as their confidence. People like to say that they're being a, I don't even want to use the language, but people who are just foul. They people that use their confidence as far as like being somebody that they're not, I guess. Copying somebody's confidence when they're really not that confident. But you know, I don't like. There are people that I really wouldn't want that to happen to, but then there are genuinely good people that go through that exhibit as well, and so that they know, like even if they're not confident, that's what they make it out to be because their life has set up for them to continually get better at life. And then all of a sudden, that may be the last step. The last step may be that confidence is the key. But confidence knows there's also a bigger picture beyond your bigger picture. So I just threw that out there again because, like, yeah, it's that whole bigger fish thing. But I don't really like to equate it the whole fact that yeah, there's a bigger fish, so that bigger fish can eat you up. I mean, yeah, you could use Jonas, but or yeah, excuse me, there. It's the whole idea that confidence knows. I actually would want to use another example. Is like confidence knows that you may be a galaxy, but there's a universe, or you may be a planet, but there's a sun. You know what I mean? Like that, you may be a sun, but there are bigger suns out there. So it's like it's understanding that you know that fact, like that it's a it's a process for anybody. You know what I mean? Like it's a process for anybody to go through the bouncing off of lives because I mean, unless if you're a hermit who doesn't really see a lot of people, I mean, I would think you maybe even at least like watching a video here and then, but it's knowing that uh, what the key is or what the big picture is like, eventually you get to a point where you've reached your goals and you've reached your standards and you've reached, but if you are that confident person, I would think that you would want to fully ingrain yourself in continuing on. And then, yeah, we're actually, it's almost to a point where it's like, we got to continue on. We can't just like, say life's tough or else, we got laid down. I think that's what a confident person would do anyways. But I think in that fact, if it's in that fact, then we have to make sure that, you're going to be somebody that is relevant, even in your space of knowing that you may have been, it's like the whole fact, like if you got drafted in the in sports in the NBA or something like that, and you're that rookie, that highly touted rookie comes in the NBA space, you hear a lot of them say you gotta drop it. You gotta drop it. It's a whole new start. And I think that's a very good showing of what good confidence is. Um, so I know for myself, I like to stay in the zone when I'm fully confident. I don't know if I'm, but I also contribute myself to something I can confidently believe in. That's why I like to bring up sports. That's why I like to bring up, oh my gosh, that's why I like to bring up a lot of things that I find myself in the same form of because I think it does take a lot. It's not if you were to think that you're the same as the NBA athlete, like that means a lot. Some of these guys are 6, 7 feet tall, big bodies, most athletic, some of the most athletic guys in the world, um, driven to be a dream that has the most smallest of chances in a rate where the numbers of ball players is even growing more so how popular it is. Um, like, yeah, it's knowing that when you're part of that form, are you really that confident of yourself, or is it because there are other people that that you're relatable to? Um, yeah, so I think that one is that's something that I think a lot of people deal with. But knowing that you can contribute, that's a very special one too, and that's why I find myself being very confident. Is because I find myself being able to contribute myself. I don't know. Maybe that's my life story, my testament. I don't know if that's the language that I speak. I don't know if it's my talent, my skill, my own abilities in playing sports. Maybe it's my upbringing. But when you can help contribute in things that you may not be able to, but yet you still try to do it. Uh, I think that's big confidence. But I think that there is a confident part of you that could be um, even more decisive if you can actually contribute in a way that brings about change, brings about different circumstances that help produce people that strive to be in the same like-mindedness as you. That's confidence that I don't think ever stops, but at the same time, I don't think that's a confidence that um, is pressured too much about what is going on, because I think if you remain true to yourself, then there are always going to be times, like I can say this one thing, there are always going to be times when you're hit with this thing that you're just like, I've never been through this before, this certain situation, or this certain thought process, or this certain event that you're going through. I've never been through this, and it doesn't make too much sense to me. At the point in time where you're just like, oh my gosh, like I wouldn't really expect that at that moment. But yet you're still able to go on. That's really confident. I feel like that is really confident in being able to continue on. But I'm almost rambling again. Um, so let me continue. So throughout all of that continuousness, I found out that my charisma was something that endured out of all of that. So I guess you could say that my confidence actually evolved into charisma. I found out that many things endured beyond an ongoing discussion. So that's kind of like saying that my confidence did turn into charisma because of the fact that I wasn't pushed into a corner, but the representation is that, um, when people make a lot of mistakes and you go through a lot of sin, which I am also accountable for, when you go through mistakes, you're just going to have to realize that there is, yes, a bigger picture. And yes, regardless if it's your fault or not, right? The confidence part that I so speak of is being able to understand the situation, being able to live through it, being able to talk your way through it, and being able to, you know, have your own opinion that does matter. Not the one that gets you frustrated, not the one that makes you go outside of your own zone, but you stay appreciative to what is the truth and what is going on. And then all the other things can actually become true. Um, yes. So I just gotta ask some questions like, what was action that held confidence? Um, what was your action that held confidence? Like, uh, can I speak without talking about the concept itself? So like, I think really good part of confidence is, like if I use the whole situation where I can't say the word confidence anymore, um, but you're still able to speak about it, I think that's confidence too. Um, can I speak without talking about the concept itself? It's gonna get rough if you don't make up your mind. Is it? Um, so it's like if you're able to not use that word, um, are you? Is it gonna get rough? I would think so, because like maybe the picture I'm trying to paint is like when you're trying to tell somebody to get better, or when you're trying to improve somebody, or find that your charisma holds, um, you know, I wouldn't just repeat one word to you all the time. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't just keep on saying this, this, this person is confident, confident, confident. Like it's more so just finding a way that that progresses through. Um, maybe I'm not being clear, but I got to keep on. So I what I say to that is, don't try to force the will. Um, let your will be it, and then all the dramatics go out the window. You don't have to. I think the confidence that I speak of right now, that I think I relate to, is something that's not too uptight, and one that's not too fearful, and one that isn't making excuses. Um, like that one I want to talk about too is like the whole justification process is I found myself I found my confidence to be belittled in that sense too because I think a lot of people once they get to a certain point like I think justification almost becomes I wouldn't want justification to pop up too much. And that's just how I see it because I think that just means that people are trying to point fingers and trying to find cover up blame. Um, but I think in the other light that justification when justification does matter, it's more so like just knowing that the grace and sanctification is involved, but it's knowing that you can have more than just justification does work. When you're trying to find common themes, common points that everyone could relate to, so that they know they're on the same page. I guess I would say to that. Um, so, I mean, the fun part is when you overcome whatever drama you hold. I guess I would put it is like since you got all that dramatics out the window, like or whatever real life problem comes your way. Um, I think that's where the fun part exists. If like that's how I feel. I'm confident. Is like like it gets tough. It gets tough when life is throwing you like problems that you never even thought existed, or when life throws you problems that are like almost to the point where it's like when problems aren't problems, but it's like when you're trying to understand your confidence, I'm thinking you're trying to understand like who you truly are, and when things aren't coexisting as opposed to clashing. I think that's kind of like, oh man, like I gotta know myself more. Um, but my ultimate confidence says to that is like that's a really good thing. If you're like going through this process where it's like you're in a good light and you're being told something, and then something's coming at you where it kind of directly proportions like the justification on the other side of what you're going through, and you're kind of considering like, oh man, that makes sense too. I think that's where your confidence comes involved, and it's not to separate the two. I'm just saying you got to be able to be, you got to be possibly even more so a better vision for those people because you know those facts, because you know that there's a discernment between those two, and so um, sometimes I think that could go just through people's minds sometimes. And I don't think that's a big deal, but I think when it comes to being confident and knowing that there's a position at stake almost, but there's like a just it's like almost like a trial and error version where you're just like, oh my gosh, these are what life is throwing at you for a very good reason because I think you're at a good point, but I think it's also just because you do. It's like it's giving you all these angles, all these different angles, and all these different angles are intersecting, and you're at a traffic jam, but you know which way to go. It's just these traffic jams are making it kind of more particular than anything because you got one say going green, but yeah, you got a blue light and you got a you got an orange light instead of like a yellow light and a red light that you're originally known of, where you just say no to it or just say be wary of it. It there becomes more situation as like it's developed into something that you can actually key on. But I'll leave it at that too. Um, so I know when all else fails, just like I was talking about charisma, I think that's where courage is what is produced. And a good man's courage can go light years beyond one who isn't. I think that's very true. In in that quote that I wrote. No, I think that's very true. Courage is something that I think we all can't lose right now, particularly. Um, but courage cannot be something um, that hides itself for forever. Um, I got no knock on anybody that doesn't, come out about a certain social norm or something like that. I actually don't, because life has it that there are way too many variables, way too many different possibilities for somebody to live and see what their life is about through the lenses of other situations, because of delicate situations. Um, that's teetering on a lot of different circumstances. Um, but it's a big but. When courage almost comes to a point where, so you've understood from me personally that knowing that I like to have this start over daily living, that could mean that I'm forgiving of certain situations. Or I mean, I could be in the fault as well, but I think that there's a lot of searches and situations and finds that some people think that I think that when you become confident in yourself, um, I think it develops into something that becomes either cocky or courageous. Um, and I think that cockiness and that courageous obviously is very different, but that cocky person could just be a cocky person on the outside. I don't want to say this just to defend them, but I'm saying I want to look at that courageous person. Just like what I was saying is like, I want to look at that courageous person and be able to see what is, or see what he or she is doing, or see he or she as to why he or she is emitting or portraying such courage. You know, I guess it's almost is an indicator of not greatness, but close to greatness. It's close to something that matters in life, because I think in life, a courageous person knows that all the worldly material things, they dust away in an instant. Um, but throughout all the facts, throughout all the necessities, I think a courageous person knows something more so, um, how they can provide for other people, because of how confident they were. And so I think that's why a lot of people do like to talk and have podcasts and have like to have motivating and inspirational speeches, because they found that there's that innate quality in them through confidence or courage or charisma that makes people go. And it has done for me. Like I've listened to a whole bunch of motivational videos and speeches, since I was like really young. And it got me hype. It got me so much good energy. It got me so much positive reinforcement to continue on and to work harder, think better, to do better, to plan out things in a way that accordingly is not the best way what other people may think, but it turns out to be something that now people are listening to. Maybe it's not in my numbers, but that's okay with me. Like that's my courage. That's my life. Um, so I think the best part is when confidence goes face to face with courage. And you have these. I think when you have these two people come in contact with each other, you could tell. Like I don't like. I could tell. I could tell very much how that means and what that means and what it looks like. Um, I just get this really, really good feeling, and I get my observance. My observance becomes better. The range of thoughts becomes better. Um, the difficult proportions become easier just because of how light of a burden becomes even a lighter burden. But yeah, so like this can be demanding when these two meet up, when confidence meets up with courage. It can be quaint. This can be quintessential. Maybe it was written in the stars. Maybe it was necessary. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was destiny. Maybe it was set up that way by a higher purpose. I like to learn off these experiences when these two come face to face. something that is amazing, amazing, amazing. Maybe it's an instant. I hate to snap because of that Marvel thing, but it's more so like, what if DC and Marvel face to face each other, or what if Adidas and Nike face to face each other, or what if red and blue faced each other, or black and white, or you know what I mean? Like just really big, big, big picture kind of things that are relevant, especially in the day we are today with almost 8 billion people. Like even if you had somebody that 100 million followers, like there could be somebody that has a billion followers. Like that proportion is like almost really hard to determine, unless maybe it is that confidence. But it's hard to use this shell of it's hard to use this shell because it's like it's like so much conceptual point at this point, which I like, so I'm gonna keep on going. Um, being to the point and brave, to be bold and feeling in character, then to know what it means to elevate, to consider new territory of existence, to remain in key of oneself, and to deliver new paths. That was just my own courageous charisma right there. Yeah, so it's like, I don't think that I could say all what is true about confidence, and but I think the confident person makes that chance, when they know it's time. Um, and I guess like I do want to talk about timing as well, but like I think that's such a hard thing is because you know like if I were blessed with a child to be born, um, to a future wife, if I was so blessed, like I would want to tell my child, son or daughter, like there were so many times when I wanted to speak like this, just so I could maybe, diary myself. But there were so many times when I could say something to them, so they can understand even me more. But I would say, like, there have been so many times of that consideration. Um, and when did I decide, what I should speak about and what I like, how I'm going to speak about it, what I'm going to speak about, and I just think everything works together. And that's the courage that has become like so high for me is like everything works together, and everything matters. But when everything works together, everything matters. Then that whole confidence is you're in a new universe. You're in a completely new existence of what you originally thought, most likely. And I think that like that confidence is I don't want to laugh about it, but it's like it's not. It's a rare thing. It's a rare thing, and so you know, I found it to be particularly a lot of where I go. But that's my confidence in what I'm able to attract and things of that nature, and what people are not limited to when you like when you work good and you work and when you live out a life that's really good. I mean, of course, you're gonna come in contact with people that you should run into, but um, I think there's a fine line in that. I think being confident is so amazing, when you can you know just just feel good, feel alive with so many different walks of life. Regardless if it's quiet, if it's rowdy, if it's loud, if it's easygoing, if it's woman, guy, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of religion, regardless of size, regardless of so this whole social injustice that's going on right now. Everyone's tough too because um, confidence is what is taking light right now, um, and so I think I think we should all just be appreciative in the sense that we can be courageous. Um, but I wouldn't want to guide you in that way. I would guide you in the way that you know of to be. What is your perspective? What is it that you bring to the table? Um, and what, regardless if you have that shared wealth of life, just bring it to the table sometimes, and that just really matters. Like I've seen it recently so much more, like as far as like, but the confidence is tough and the longevity of it all. And so I think that's where it is, because I think a lot of good portion of life is that life is probably really good, like 80-90% of the time. But those things, there are things that happen that makes you actually turn into a confident person because you have to be. It's like a call for change, a call for courage, a call for charisma. Um, and so I think that that's actually a situation where I wouldn't want to say we all have to get used to it, but I think it's a good point to make. I just think it's something that we all should be on the outlook for, and we all should be on the look for understanding like what holds us together, and then who are the confident leaders and people, and just people of knowledge, because so much so that I speak about confidence like it's such a good thing, that I could be leaving out people that aren't confident, that are good people in general, soft spoken, gentle people, shy people, uh, considerate people, um, people that are misunderstood, people that have been rejected, people that have continued to bear a weight they just don't want to speak about. Like those are things that you know. That's why I would never. I think a confident person knows that, and that you would want to just have your own way, being able to speak to those people as well. Um, so I'll leave it at that. I'm done with that confident part. That one's tough because I just want to talk about it more, but I don't want to talk about it. All right, peace.